Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. It's been a while since I did a Q&A session, so I went on Instagram as well as on YouTube community and asked you to drop any questions that you would like to ask me. But apparently I've put so much of myself out there, I keep sharing, maybe that's oversharing to a certain extent, but there's so much that there weren't many questions for you to ask me. There aren't a lot, at least it feels like that to me, but let's see as the video progresses. So without any further ado, let's dive right into this video and let me answer the questions that you have sent in to me. Let's start with Instagram first, and the first question is brutal question, but if you had to choose between Nikita Gill and Matt Haig, who would be your favorite? Why would you do this to me? But I have an answer to this question, and that is Nikita Gill. Matt Haig's writing is, I relate to it. I relate to the characters. It's beautiful. He is obviously, as you know, one of my top two favorites. The other being Nikita Gill. But if I had to choose, I would choose Nikita Gill. One, because it feels like she knows me too well. And two, because she takes that knowledge and tells me things that I need to hear. She encourages me with her poems. She just talks to me. Next question. Is there any book that has affected you so strongly that it's brought about changes in your life? Yes, there have been a lot. Every book that I read has brought about some change or the other in my life. But if you are asking me which is the book that affected me the most, of course, I sound like a broken record at this point. The Midnight Library, Fierce Fairy Tales. There's this book called Fight Like a Girl by Clementine Ford. Seeing Like a Feminist. These are the books that have had the biggest influences on me. They have brought about changes in my thinking, the way I see the world, the way I see injustice, the way I see life, the way I see opportunity. So these books have been instrumental in doing that for me. But if you ask me if has there been any book that has helped you change your sleep schedule, then I would say no, there has not been, unfortunately. Not yet. Next, your recent favorite movie or book or song. Movie I haven't watched a lot, and none of them are things that I can call my favorite, so that's aside. And then book, obviously the most recent was Happy Place by Emily Henry. You've seen me talk about it in the video that went up last week. If you'd like to go check that out, link here as well as in the description box below. But that was a great experience in itself. Most recent favorite song. I haven't been listening to a lot of music of late. My playlist has been stuck at the old ones. Scars to You're Beautiful, Dancing with a Stranger, all that. Next, do you speed read? Some tips if you do. I do not speed read. I cannot speed read because it takes my mind some time to process what's going on in the book, and if it's books which have easy language, romance books or mysteries, thrillers, then maybe my speed picks up a bit, but otherwise I just can't read fast. It has come down a lot, my reading speed. I used to read like 50, 60, 70 pages an hour at one time, but now if the writing is even moderately hard, then it takes me like 30-40 pages per hour is what I can read. But since I do not speed read myself, I don't think it would be right for me to give the tips. Next is suggest me a book that speaks about Indian temples. It may be fiction or non-fiction. Mythological fiction, I can recommend it to you. There is a full video that I did a couple of years ago. If you'd like to go check that out, link here as well as in the description box below. But books about temples in themselves, I'm not really well versed on, so I cannot help you with that. Next, one book you read more than once and why? Fiction only, it's specified. I can give you 3 books that I've read more than once. One is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, because it is witty, it's funny, it's poignant. It's a story of 2 teenagers in love, and it's in this backdrop of terminal illness. And then there's Fierce Fairy Tales. I've read that twice. And also the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Mary Ann Schaffer and Annie Barrows. That is a historical fiction book that never gets old. It's one of the most beautifully written books I've read in my life. The first time I read it, I was blown away. The second time I read it, I read it with a friend, and the experience was even better because revisiting all my favorite parts of the book and wanting to go to Guernsey, that's a different feeling in itself altogether. Please do I have that book video on your channel? I already have that up. I think I did the do I have that other book challenge as well. So I'll link it for you. If you want to go check it out, link is here as well as in the description box below. Go check it out. I mean, it's been a while since I did it because my whole bookshelf is back in India, and I did it back then. I think it was 2021. 2 years already. Oh. The next question, how are you? I won't lie and say I am very great, I'm fine, etc, etc. My back is killing me right now as I'm sitting and I'm filming this video. But I am in pain, and because my arthritis is flaring up, it's winter here and winters usually cause these kind of flare-ups for joint pains and all. I'm hoping that things will only get better from here. But thank you for asking. I hope you're doing well. I mean, we speak, but I hope you're doing well. Next question is, have you watched Daisy Jones and the Six yet, or do you plan to? It was written DJATS and I wondered for a long minute what it was, but I haven't watched Daisy Jones and the Six. I don't know, I am not getting that feeling ki I have to go and watch that series. I have to. Like it happened for Shadow and Bone. It didn't happen for this for some reason, but I'll watch it at some point. I know I'll watch it at some point, but I don't know when. I'm not planning to per se, if you know what I mean. Next is fantasy recommendations for beginners. If you mean beginners in the sense that beginners to reading, then I'd say the Percy Jackson series, a blend of fantasy and Greek mythology. It's a great place to start. Technically, you start with Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and you move on to the other series that Rick Riordan has. Then you can read Neil Gaiman's books, not American Gods, obviously. That is like, it is fantasy, but it's not for beginners. You can read the Graveyard Book and Coraline. They are mixed with a little bit of supernatural kind of touch they have to them. And then there's this book which I didn't love. I liked it, but I didn't love it. It's called The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. The plot is dragged out, but it is intriguing enough that it will keep you invested right from the start to the very end. So these are something that you can dip your feet in. Next question, books like Nikita Gill that are not Nikita Gill. Recommendations you want. See, if you ask me, you're putting me in a tough spot. One, because I cannot find anybody who is like Nikita Gill. She is, you know, the top person on my list, the top poet, top author. So there's nobody else who could hold a candle to her in my opinions, and I would be doing her as well as the other authors, poets a disservice by comparing them. I don't have many recommendations in that case, but if you want book of poetry, I can tell you a classic poetess who has sass, who wrote with everything inside her, and that is Emily Dickinson. And her poems, I've read her poems and they are amazing. Emily Dickinson is Emily Dickinson, Nikita Gill is Nikita Gill. You can't compare the two. But if you're looking for powerful poetry, then Emily Dickinson is one you should not miss. Next, how do you cope up with reading slump? I push books aside. I do not read if I'm not feeling it. If I want to read but I'm not able to read, then I read as much as I can and then move on to whatever else is holding my fancy at the moment. I don't force it because I know that if I do, then it's going to not bode well for the whole thing. I'm either going to hate that book or I'm going to hate myself for not being able to read, and those are not the right ways to go about reading. I mean, I still feel like whenever I see a book at the library, I want to read it and I'll get it home. But if I'm not feeling it, I don't read. I just put it aside, or I read something short, or I read something fast paced that I know is fast paced. If I know it's not easy to read, if I know it's not short, if it's going to take a lot of my brain power, then I'm going to put it aside. So that's how I deal with reading slumps. I have done a full video or a blog post, I can't remember which, but I will link that up here as well as in the description box below on how to beat the reading slump. Next question is favorite adult fantasy series. I have a couple actually, and the first and foremost and topmost is the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. That series broke me. I read it at the end of last year and at the beginning of this year, and it just broke me to no end. There is so much drama, there's so much fighting, military strategy, war, and the shamanism and Chinese folklore, and everything comes together in an amazing trilogy that just blew my mind. And then there is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. It's an 800-page brick and it takes some time to build up, but when it does this, it's so satisfying, the whole thing. There's a queendom, there are dragons, there are wars, and there's love. When you sit through 800 pages, when you are like, oh fine, I got my money's worth, then that is a good book. So I'm considering Priory of the Orange Tree part of a series because the prequel to that, A Day of Fallen Night, has already released. I've placed a request and I have not yet heard back. I'm really looking forward to it. But if you'd like to go watch my review of The Priory of the Orange Tree, link will be here as well as in the description box below. I have also read 2 books of A Song in Ice and Fire series, which is A Game of Thrones and A Clash of Kings. I really enjoyed them and I gave them full 5 stars if I'm not mistaken. But obviously the series has its issues, but it just kept me invested. So basically what I'm saying is I really enjoyed them. I wouldn't call it a favorite though, the series. I wouldn't call that series a favorite. Now on to the YouTube questions, which are very few, I think 2 or 3 only. Okay, so suggest how to maintain books inside closed shelf. Will it make books yellowish? If I keep them out, dust covers it in a week. Your comments on both scenarios. Maintaining books inside closed shelves will probably not make the books yellowish. You use naphthalene balls and store them. I usually store them in an open shelf and dust them very frequently. That is how I maintain my books. I don't store them in closed shelves because first, I don't have them, and second, I want my books to be seen, especially since I am a booktuber and I film videos like this. I want the books to be seen. So even if you store them in closed shelves, make sure to clean them once a month at least. Clean them out once a month. Make sure to place a paper, a newspaper, or any protective lining on the shelf when you put them inside the cupboard. And I'm telling you this not from experience because I don't store my books in a closed shelf, but from having seen people do this. But you know, books, they will yellow eventually. But by doing all of this, you are slowing down the process to a large extent, very drastically. But if you keep your books outside, then obviously dust will accumulate, but maybe you can dust them down once in a couple of weeks instead of once a week. The question is, what happened to the Bookbound Club? We are on indefinite break at the moment, so I don't know what's going to happen. None of us know because we are in different places in our lives at the moment and we don't know if we can make it work. But let's see. Never say never. Any underrated book that I should read? I don't know what genre you're looking for, so I'm going to give you a very broad recommendation. Karno's Daughter by Rimli Sen Gupta. This is the story of a farm worker who works as a house help in I think it's Kolkata, and it's one of the most brilliant books I've ever read. I don't see it talked about enough, and I think more people should read it. So this is something that you can pick up. And then the second one is These Are Bodies Possessed by Light by Dharini Bhaskar. It was shortlisted for the JCB prize in 2020, but it didn't win. And it takes some time to get into, but it will be worth it in the end. Please be patient with it. And then the last question is, which are some of the very popular books that deserve all the hype they get? First, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. If you're into the romance genre, then this is a book that is completely worth every single paisa of your money and every single second of your time. The Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. Again, brilliant. If you're into fantasy, if you're into adult fantasy, and this whole Chinese mythology folklore kind of thing, then this is one that you will definitely enjoy. Another is the Percy Jackson series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. It deserves all the hype it gets, and it's just a brilliant series on the whole. Then there is the Song of Achilles, which is like a cry fest, and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, obviously. So those are some books, some popular books that completely deserve the hype. I'm not going back to my usual suspects because I feel like I've spoken about them enough in this video. Okay, so that was me answering your questions. What did you think of this video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you have any questions that were answered in this video, or do you have any questions that you would like me to answer? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.